Hello, you are listening to the Divorce University online podcast with your hosts, Thomas and Tammy Ferreira.
Hi, I'm Tammy.
And I'm Thomas.
And we are back with our first episode of 2023.
Do we have to ask permission for this episode?
I think we might have to, but I don't know who we're asking permission from. We're both here. So
We're asking permission.
The title of today's episode is Are You Waiting for Permission? And I think this is
I'm always waiting for permission.
from me, right?
Yeah.
This is a great topic heading into the new year. I think, we always try to do some kind of big life focused stuff, at least a little bit here in January. And,
right.
It's so easy to get caught up in the details, right?
Like you're getting a divorce, you need to work on your abs.
Like that. It's easy to get stuck in the minutia of, all the custody and the struggles and the, your divorce case and just all the different things going on that sometimes we lose sight of, our life.
Yes.
So to speak. And
That's true.
And so this episode is really about kind of taking a step back and taking inventory of your own self and where you're at and, what you want this to look like long term. I read a lot of, self-help and personal development. I think this time of year, there's always a lot of it available. And so I've been kind of soaking up a lot more of it. And
I signed up for a challenge.
You did?
Yeah. With Wall Street Journal. They email it to you.
What's it a challenge about?
It's about changing your life.
Oh, yes. It's on.
Yeah.
Topic.
It's the same topic. Yeah.
So now, you can go to Wall Street.
Do I have permission to use that?
Do their challenge. I don't know. We're sending people to their challenge. I would think they would like that. So, I think what happens is, like I said, sometimes we get so caught up in the day to day, especially if you are struggling with custody issues, which is a lot of what Thomas and I, deal with in both our coaching and his law practice, a lot of custody stuff. It's kind of our wheelhouse. We've been doing co-parenting on a personal level for 17 or 18 years now. And, for both of us, our children are the most important thing in our lives, which I think is true of the vast majority of parents. And so it's real easy to get caught up in the arguments with the ex and the stress of trying to get everybody where they need to go. And, a lot of times you're working at the same time and, what are we having for dinner tonight? And all the day-to-day stuff that the days just turn into weeks, turn into months. And I know this happens for me and Thomas.
It's because
too.
of the crap storm.
Right.
It's because there's this huge sucking sound and it's sucking negativity into your life.
Right.
And you forget, the guitar just sits in the corner and remains unplayed, or, or you stop reading or you stop doing what you enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is really a good time of year to, I'm not big on resolutions. I don't think that you can just, you may have goals you want to accomplish this year. I try to look at that and say, oh, here's my top 3 goals for the year. And, we all know there's a lot of psychology around setting those goals, having that intention, writing them down, looking at them every day. And so I think that, goals and intentions have to be part of sort of your everyday practice. I don't think you can just, I've slacked off for the last 6 months, so let me just suddenly set this resolution, which is almost like a willpower thing on myself.
I read somewhere that the average New Year's resolution lasts about 6 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because because a resolution becomes something like, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol.
Right.
Type of thing. And then
it becomes about willpower.
It becomes about willpower, or I'm going to stop drinking soda. My big vice is probably soda.
Let me just tell you, willpower is not a very strong force.
Right.
Generally speaking.
Well, it might be.
Especially against entrenched habits.
Yeah. It might be in the short term.
Yeah.
You can white knuckle something for a couple days or something
Right.
like that. But over the long haul, you're not going to be able to stick just based on willpower and be able to get the results that you're looking to get. So really, when you're setting your goals and you're really taking a step back and putting some time and thought into that, that does a couple different things. Number one, when you set big goals like that, you generally have a really big why. like there's some reason, there's some driving force of why you want to do this. It's not just simply like, oh, I should give up soda, so I'm going to make that my New Year's resolution. That's different than saying, I want to become as healthy as possible, or be in the best health of my life. And so what would that look like? Oh, I'd be, 50 pounds lighter, and I would not,
Wasn't that last year's resolution?
I don't do resolutions like that. No, but I'm just saying, like, when
Yeah.
you have that kind of big picture goal, like I want to be healthy and be at my best health ever, then, what are your reasons for that? A lot of times it's because you're just tired of physically feeling bad,
Yeah.
or you want to be around longer for your children or your grandchildren, or you want to be able to enjoy activities
Yeah.
outdoors that you like, or you want to be able to participate in something with your spouse, or you want to be able to,
Right.
like, whatever that.
Right. I stopped having physical health goals. What's the word? Fitness goals.
Mhm.
Because I can never keep my hate working out in the gym. But I love going surfing.
Right.
I just love going surfing.
Right.
And so that's something I'm motivated to do that
Right.
keeps me in shape.
Right. Right. And when you're struggling
Yeah.
in your surfing,
Yeah.
when you're struggling to get to your feet, or
Yeah.
or whatever your thing is, it's kind of like, okay, well, if I used weights and did squats 3 times a week,
Right.
blah blah blah, my pop-up would get better. That's going to be
Right.
motivating for you because you enjoy the surfing and you want to be good at the surfing because it's more fun. And
Yeah.
it's not just this, oh, I made a New Year's resolution to go to the gym 3 times a week.
Yeah. That's a terrible resolution.
Right.
That just sounds horrible to me.
Right. And it's hard to stick to.
That's how the gyms make their money. You go in, you buy this membership and you commit to it, and then you go like 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true of any goal. And I think a lot of times when it's kind of like dieting, it's like when you suddenly tell yourself, I can't have alcohol, I can't have sugar, I can't have bread, I can't have all these things, then what that does is make you want them. Right. And so
Yes.
really, if your goal, a better goal would be, I'm going to reduce my intake of these things by 2/3, or half, or
Yeah.
whatever. And so that you're not totally in a state of deprivation, but you're improving your health, you're improving your, all those things.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So where does this permission idea come in?
Well, so I think that for a lot of us, and I think especially, I'll say especially women. I don't know if this is true for men because I'm not a man. I'm a man. I'm certainly not saying that it can't be true for a man. But I think in a lot of ways, um, we're told to, put everybody else first. I think as a mom,
Right. I know what you're saying.
as a mom, especially, or a wife or whatever, you're told that everybody else should come first. Well, if you don't sacrifice this for your child, if you don't, work 2 jobs, if you need to, if you don't, give them the last cookie in the jar, if you don't sacrifice your massage to take them to ball practice, whatever the thing is, if you don't do these things, you're a bad parent. And
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. I think a lot of guys feel that way.
yeah, I think a lot of parents,
A lot of guys feel like their job in the marriage, at least guys with my value system,
right,
that guys want to sacrifice. They feel that their duty is to go to a job and work until they're exhausted, and then come home and and never do anything fun, just so that everybody has the things that they like.
right.
I heard R.C. Sproul say one time that a man's greatest fear is that he'll lose the ability to provide for his family. Yeah.
Interesting. He's a minister. For anybody that doesn't know who he is
He's a theologian.
passed away a minister.
Right.
Passed away a few years ago.
He's in
so,
heaven now.
Yeah.
but
So
yes.
R.C. Sproul is who we're talking about. But so I think what happens is a lot of times it's not just the people around us. Like, and to me, this sort of contributes to divorce a little bit
Yeah.
because it's like you feel like you have to ask permission, but you're afraid that you're going to have this argument. So you avoid it, and then you feel resentful. And again, I can only speak for the dynamic for me. And I've had this experience
Mhm.
with a lot of women, is then you start feeling resentful And then that builds up. And then you have this resentment that comes out, usually in the form of anger, sometimes in the form of withdrawal, whatever, with your spouse. And it's really because it's not really anything they did. It's you, anticipating their reaction and being afraid to do what you want to do.
So you'd rather have an empty tank, so to speak, like an empty emotional tank, and and avoid conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's how they always tell you, on the airplane, put your mask on first. I mean, this is a form of that. If you aren't in a good space and you're not able to give to others around you without depleting yourself, those relationships aren't going to last.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I really need that surf. I there are times when I really need it because I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel healthy. It makes my breath feel better. It makes my shoulders feel better. I have this kind of healthy, tired feeling that's a very nice feeling. It helps me sleep. And
I'm not always happy when you go surf.
No, you're not. You're never happy.
Right. Well, sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, shoo, go.
Yeah, that's right. Get the hell out of here. I got work to do. Yeah. You leave me alone.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I really need that surf. And, I mean, one of the things that the viewers should know about us is that we're a couple of codependents,
Yeah. Well, we're trying to recover. We're recovering the whole time.
We're recovering codependents, but, but I am reluctant to lay that on Tammy, because that means she's got to hold down the fort, and there's all this stuff that she wants to get done that maybe is not going to get done, and the car will be down at the beach, and you know,
we share one car, so that's
and she'll wonder if I'm with my girlfriend or not.
I don't have too much fear about that. But your girlfriend will be sending you back pretty soon.
That's true. Plus, she knows where the phone is, so she knows how to track me.
I can track it if I need to.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because these are patterns that you develop, and they become really hard to overcome. This feeling of needing to ask for permission, to be able to live the life that you want to live. It's
right.
And
then sitting out in the water and feeling guilty.
Right. And then you're not even enjoying the surf
That's
while you're there because you feel guilty. It
ruins my surf session to feel guilty about it. Yes, it does.
It really does. And, your life's not a dress rehearsal. This is the only one you have. And so if you don't do what you want to do, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any consideration for the other people in your life, but I'm saying that if you can't give that consideration without feeling resentful or deprived or upset in some way, then there's a problem with it.
Yeah.
And it is a pattern that's developed over time, and you just sort of get in this default mode where you're doing that and you don't even realize it.
You mean even with an ex? Even with like...
Okay, so I'll give you an example.
All right.
So Thomas and I went to the store on New Year's Eve. Okay. And we sort of, so my oldest son and my daughter-in-law and my 1-year-old grandson are here visiting. And Thomas and I went to the store. I originally hadn't really planned anything for New Year's Eve. I knew that my son and daughter-in-law were going over to her parents for a little while, and then they were going to come back. And I just thought it was kind of casual. We were just going to hang out, watch TV, whatever. And I have this history in the family of having done really
extravagant
good
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve parties.
She does.
Right?
I love Tammy's New Year's Eve party.
Right, to the point to where the years we don't have Thomas,
and we don't even drink. That's the funny thing about it.
Sometimes there's some champagne at midnight, but most of the time, no, not really.
Yeah.
And so Thomas's kids, a lot of times, who are 18 and 19 now, but they used to call over the years and be like, oh, can we come over? Even though it wasn't our year for New Year's, they'd say, Mom said it's okay. Can we come for New Year's? Because we want to be there for the party.
Yeah, because we had a blast.
Right. And so we do things like, I have a chocolate fountain, and we do a silly string war at midnight. And,
that's a lot better than fireworks.
Yeah, we play games and, do all that kind of thing.
Although it's hard to get off the ceiling and the wall sometimes.
The silly string is hard to recover. We still have silly string on certain parts of the ceiling we can't reach. But anyway, so I do these, New Year's Eve things. And so this year I really hadn't planned any of that because it was just Thomas's kids weren't here, and we just had, my son and daughter-in-law who are, 30-ish. And so I just thought it was going to be low key. And so my son was kind of like, did you get stuff for the chocolate fountain? Did you get silly string? And I'm like, dude, you're 30. And he's like, yeah, but I have my 1-year-old son, and I want him to start getting into the tradition of and I'm like, he's 1. He's not going to remember. And he's like, and so anyway, I felt a little bit of mom guilt, I guess, for not, doing my traditional things that I had done. And we always have a blast. I never begrudge, doing that work. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, Thomas and I go to the store because I had not planned for any of this. So suddenly I'm like, holy cow, my son wants a New Year's Eve celebration. So we go to the store, and we got very, very lucky. I pretty much had a one-stop shop going to Walmart, and
that was a good shopping trip.
It was. I found
they had cowboy cookies.
You like their cowboy cookies. Yeah, they're decadent cowboy cookies. Yeah. And, like chocolate for the chocolate fountain, not always easy to find the melting chocolate. They had it. And a couple of the games we wanted to play, we needed string and ping pong balls and all these different things. And we literally found everything that we were looking for pretty much at Walmart. So it was it was a fairly easy trip. I won't say it was really quick because all of the a couple of the things that we wanted that were sort of just like household items that we needed were under lock and key from all the theft problems that they've had. So one of our biggest time sucks was that we had to sit and wait probably about 30 minutes
for Joe.
For Joe to come and open.
Joe is apparently the only person in Walmart in Oceanside that has a key to the case where the eye drops are.
Yes, eye drops are under lock and key. A $10 box of eye drops, which is okay. So whatever. So we waited a long time for Joe, who we finally found. But anyway, so that delayed our trip a little bit and made it last a little bit longer than it would have. But while we're in there, I said to Thomas, when we first started the trip, I said, I'm suddenly overcome with this knot in the pit of my stomach. And he said, why? And I said, because I feel like you're going to get angry if this takes too long. Because, all right, so let's give a little background on that. I tend to be kind of a perfectionist, right? And so if I want
that's why she married me.
If I want melting chocolate of this certain brand, that's the brand that we're finding, and we're going to scour every aisle until we find it, or we'll have to go to another store.
The plain wrap will not do.
Yeah. And so I just have certain little quirks like that where I want what I want, and I that's
again why you married me.
Yes. and so I'm not waiting for permission on certain things. I just want what I want. And so I had this fear that he was going to get upset with my perfectionism on, New Year's Eve when we're already running late, getting back home. And, we didn't really want to be out driving, doing whatever. And so I had to really step back from that for a minute and go, why? Why am I feeling so stressed about this? Because in reality,
from years of conditioning.
And I will tell you that Thomas is fairly patient in that particular regard. He's got other areas where he's not as patient.
I knew you were going to say that.
But in that particular regard, he's usually pretty patient with me. And so really, I had no reason to really think that he has no history that would lend me to believe that he would suddenly become frustrated with me on New Year's Eve. When we, if we have somewhere to be or something like that, it's different. But in this particular case, we didn't have anywhere to be, obviously, except home. And so I said to him, I don't know why, but I just have this horrible fear that you're going to get angry with me. And he said, why would I do that? And I was like, I don't know. And it clicked. And I thought, you know what? This is what my ex-husband would do. He would get really frustrated. If I was gone too long with the store, why were you gone so long? Oh, you must have been out with another guy. Well, why are you, why do you have to have, this? I mean, honestly, he wouldn't have even gone with me to Walmart. He would have just been like, okay, I'll be here waiting, watching football. You go get the stuff, whatever. And he wouldn't have even gone with me. And so, but you and I have been married for this year will be 14 years.
Right.
So this isn't anything from stuff that's happened recently. This is like, you would think 14 years later, I've moved on. I'm done. I'm over the
Yeah.
stuff with my ex and the divorce and the whatever, and certain pieces of it I am, but certain parts of that conditioning cause me to go, uh-oh, am I going to
Right.
be in, I have this feeling of, am I going to be in
And
trouble
it spoiled
for this?
and it spoiled your fun.
Right.
Because it's fun to go to Walmart.
Sometimes.
No, it is.
With you, it can be. Costco's the most fun place with you, though.
Yeah.
I love going to Costco with you. We have some good Costco stories.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. With me, I'm always trying to explain myself.
Right.
I need a reason for everything. And that also is conditioned from my marriage, where everything
Your
is
last marriage.
my last marriage, yeah.
Yes.
Where everything I had to have an explanation. It was kind of like, and then she would argue with me, and the argument would escalate into conflict.
Right.
And I've finally figured out that I don't have to have a reason. Sometimes I just feel like going surfing.
Right.
And the correct response isn't, "Oh, Tammy, can I promise when I get back I'll."
Right.
No, it's just, I've decided to go surf.
Yeah.
I'll be back around 11.
Yeah.
And then I come back around 2.
Usually. Yeah, usually you're gone about double what you say. But in this, it's weird, but I mean, the surfing in particular has been one of those things that's kind of like brought up a lot of this kind of stuff for both of us that we've really had to try to work through, because there are times that, my last marriage ended through on the third affair. So trust coming into this relationship was very difficult for me. And
I was the fourth affair.
no, for him,
Oh.
3 affairs for him. I didn't have any affairs.
Oh.
Yes, and
I was just kidding. I didn't know about the other guys. That's what I'm saying. That's a joke.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm
so,
sorry.
So it was
Yeah.
hard for me sometimes to trust Thomas when he did, go surfing, because you sort of have this feeling of, well, is that really where he's going? And so, and he's right. I can track him, but I don't have tracking because I needed to track him when he's surfing. I have tracking because he tends to misplace his phone, and we need to be able to find it. So that's
Right.
really the issue.
Although
but if
it's-
I'm worried, I can pull it up.
It's hard to fake the hair
The hair.
when I come back from surfing. Yeah.
if it's not salt.
Yeah,
water,
if it's all like not going in every direction and
yeah.
all matted down
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And sometimes what'll happen is he'll go surfing, and I'll say to him, I feel really upset about this, but I don't know why, and I shouldn't. Like, I get this really strong negative reaction to him going surfing, even though logically I know that there's no reason for me to feel that way. I don't have the right to feel that way. Like, he's allowed to go surf. He's a grown man. Like, he can do whatever he wants to do. I mean, if he's bailing on some obligation or something like that, that's a different thing, but that's not usually the case. And so, part of that is me backing up and going, okay, why do I not feel like agreeing to him going surfing? And a lot of times it's because you're either, replaying some old pattern like that, where you're thinking, oh, well, what if he, cheats, or what if he does this, or what if he does that? Or I'll kind of like, oh, well, he's going to leave and we only have one car and I won't have, this is the only time that we are ever apart usually is when he's surfing, which is why we only have one car, because we just don't need to. After the pandemic, our other car crapped out during the pandemic,
to get one.
and we never replaced it. But
yeah,
we should really get a second one, but they're expensive right now. But
Yeah.
anyway, so sometimes it's kind of like, well, what if I can't go somewhere? What if I can't get what I need? What if I can't, and I start like making all these excuses in my head. And it's like, well, there's so many, right? There's Instacart and DoorDash and all, like, I can get
Uber.
food. I can get any necessities, or Uber. I can Uber if I need to get somewhere. I have people I could call if there was an emergency. Like, it's an
like my ex-wife.
Yeah, your ex-wife has come and helped me a couple times actually when you were surfing. But it's an unrealistic She has at this stage. She has. It wasn't.
We
like
are
that in the
not
beginning.
joking about that.
No, but the point is that you're making up all these things in your head, and I feel them in my gut. Like I still feel that way,
Right.
and so, part of what you have to do, part of learning not to ask for permission and meeting your own needs is you can feel that way and do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's what courage is, right? Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is moving in spite of the fear.
I used to have a book by that title, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Maybe I should reread that. That sounds like a good one.
That was a long time ago. That was
yeah.
before I met my first wife.
I remember that book.
Yeah.
And Codependent No More is another really.
It was a
old one
woman's
that
book too.
Really?
I actually got a hold of the author because I liked that concept so much, and she coached me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever knew that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was a long time ago. That was when I was still on Division Street in my first apartment that was probably 1989, 1990.
So you were how old?
I was in my late 20s.
Yeah. So like after law school and all that, when you were starting your career.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like fear. I was just like overcome with fear all the time. And it's like, and I saw this book at the bookstore. It was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I thought, well, I need to read that book. It was a book for women, but.
Right. Well, but the concepts apply.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of times things are for women or for men just because of the way we approach it as a woman or man speaks to the same sex. And so that's why you get those things. But that doesn't mean there's not wisdom to be found just because it's a woman's book or a men's book.
I don't even remember the name of the author, but it's a good book. It's probably, you could probably get it at a used bookstore at this point.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what I'm talking about is, it's like we get this idea in our head that because something makes us feel guilty or makes us feel in some kind of negative emotion that we're doing something wrong or that we shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
Even like things like just, one of my kids, will occasionally like have some issue with their dad where they go, well, I asked him to do this and he didn't want to do it. And I feel bad if I don't, do things the way he wants me to do, and the thing I always say to him is like, okay, but you feeling bad about not doing what he wants you to do is your issue. It's not your dad's issue. If you don't want to do that thing, tell your dad you don't want to do that thing.
Right.
That's drawing your boundary and not asking for permission.
Right. And if you want somebody to do something, you make it sound awesome and not, you never hang out with me. And
I don't want you to go surfing. You need to stay here. Why aren't you worried about taking care of me? Why are you? Yeah, it's true. And then they go, oh yeah, let me stay home.
Yeah,
from
that
surfing
sounds
and
like
deal with
fun.
you. Yeah,
that's right. We'll
Good time.
we'll sit down and be miserable together.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something we've tried to work with one of your sons on.
Yeah.
Is like trying to be more upbeat and positive, and not being this total negative Nelly because other people don't want to hang out with people that are negative Nelly.
That's true.
It is true. So, so a lot of times when you're drawing a boundary or doing something and you feel that guilt or you feel that fear, that's a sign that that's your issue that you need to work on. That's not a sign that the other person is doing something.
Yeah.
And,
they need to change.
Well, I have coaching groups where I work primarily with women who are dealing with a narcissistic ex. And I will tell you that I hear these types of complaints over and over and over. Well, he does this and he did this. And so I had to, and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't have to. You are choosing to.
Right.
You are choosing to allow yourself to continue to need permission from that other person. And that's not going to stop until you decide it's going to stop. That person is not, you're not magically.
You always have a choice.
You always have a choice. And what happens is we think that if we say the right thing, we're logical enough, it's reasonable, it makes sense, whatever, that suddenly our ex is going to go, Oh, yes.
yeah.
You know what,
You know
Tammy?
what?
You're correct. I've finally seen the light.
I was going to be manipulative and angry,
but
but
let me do everything that you're asking. That's not going to happen. If that was going to happen, it would have
That's
already
funny,
happened in
Tammy.
your relationship, right? And so that's not going to happen. And so you're letting these issues keep you from growing as a person, accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and living your best life. Why? Because you're allowing it to make you feel guilty or angry or resentful or whatever that emotion is. And
Right.
so identification of it is the very first step. And so if
but you know what's cool?
Mhm.
What's cool is you're getting a divorce. And what does that mean? That means that you no longer have to keep that person happy.
Right. And you can have a clean slate, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. If you don't do the work that's required on yourself,
Yeah.
you're going to end up in the same type of relationship.
That's true.
You will
You'll find somebody
repeat-
else to suck the life out of you.
That's right. You will repeat that pattern. I mean, I got into therapy probably a year and a half, probably about 15 months before the divorce or before the separation, I should say. And then I met Thomas about 6 or 8 months after the separation. So I was about 2 years in on just individual therapy, when
Yeah.
when you and I met. And
Right.
so
Her
And-
head was getting smaller and smaller.
and so a lot of my relationship with Thomas, which is we have a very, what I would say, a very healthy and good marriage, in my opinion. The only thing I have to compare it to is the last one, which was really crappy. So I don't,
Yeah.
but this one's far better than the last one. let me
It's
just
always
say.
nice to follow a bad act, you know?
Yeah, it's easier, right? It's easier to fill his shoes. But when we first got together, it's like part of my thing was just, and I've talked about this before, but just the intention of, this is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of person that I'm looking for, and I'm not going to settle for anything less than this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to apply to your life. You have to apply that intention, set your goals, whether it's around relationships or finances or your career or the kind of parent you want to be or whatever it is. Get that goal and set your intention and stick to it, and don't allow other people and their guilt and manipulative behavior to cause you to feel bad enough to change your course.
There you go. That's it. I think
That's
that's a
it.
good place to stop.
To wrap it up.
That is it.
All right. So we hope that you are having a happy and a healthy new year. And we
And a
hope
prosperous new
that
year.
a prosperous new year, and that you're not waiting for permission from anyone. If you are listening to the podcast, don't forget to rate and review us and subscribe so you get notified as new episodes come out. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that you know when new videos are released. And we will talk to you soon.
See you then.
Thank you for listening to the Divorce University online podcast with your hosts, Thomas and Tammy Ferreira. For more information, visit www.divorceuniversityonline.com.